How do you beat this stupid orc boss that takes all of your health and then resets his health? It is so ridiculous. No worries, I've got the strategies for you in today's video. What's up, guys? MtgJedi here, and Orcs Faction Wars was frustrating as crap for me, and it was very, very difficult. So let me back out here, and we will repopulate my current team. This is the team that I'm using. We'll talk about my other team after the run, and the one that I actually cleared it with. And then we will talk about other champions because there are a lot of options for this faction, and that is good for you guys because if you're working on this faction and you don't have Seer, there are still possibilities. Seer does make this a lot easier, but it does require some champions to pair with her, okay? Now, just like in every other faction, we do still follow the roles here. We have two healers in Vrask and Warlord. We also kind of have Iron Brago as a healer of sorts because, he puts that defense up by his passive, but also, in addition to that, he puts increased defense on. So it's like a double defense buff, which helps protect your guys. Now, on this team, I have no Reviver because my damage is solid enough. But when I beat this faction, I still didn't have any revivers on the team when I beat the faction either. So we'll talk about that as well. Obviously, Seer is my main damage dealer, but Kreela helps out a lot. And to be honest, Iron Brago does really great damage as well. So I usually just let this run on auto, but I've never actually sat here and watched it. I just know that it works. So that's making me nervous. One of the best things I can tell you for Faction Wars is to manual it because this boss steals the buffs. What you want to do is you want to put the buffs on after he does the steal. And sequencing your moves like that can be really helpful for beating the factions. And it's just like you being in control is way better than not being in control. Because then you know exactly when your abilities happen, and if something goes wrong, it's your fault. Which, I mean, kind of sucks, but then you can figure it out and figure out what to change, alright? So, I'm not sure if we'll have enough damage here to actually take the boss out before it uses its move here, but this is the 12 turn move that is so difficult for many factions to deal with. Knight's Revenant, I believe, as well, is one of the other ones. There's a third one, too. Skinwalkers. My plan is to make an infographic with all of the bosses and which faction, what are the key characteristics of those bosses. If you would be interested in those infographics about the bosses, please let me know. I could do a video about it. Okay, that might be a good way to wrap up this series. So, once we get down to right here, and a good way to tell where you're at is this little break in the bar, okay? Now, I don't think we're going to be able to clear this, and he's going to reset our health, but I will tell you it's definitely possible. He's going to exchange health here, unless we can just kill him. No, it's close, though. Okay, so there, he stole our health. And then we have 12 turns to kill him before he gets this move back. And it's just about damage, okay? So if you're having a hard time with damage, one thing that's going to help you is poison and HP burn, because they both do a significant amount of damage on this boss. His second ability is that steal, and his third ability puts the fear on. So if you're having a problem with the fear, obviously most of you don't have Warlord to put up block buffs, or block debuffs, excuse me, then what you can do is you can build resistance on your champions, okay? Vrask, if I were to program the AI for this team, he would only use his A1. That gives you the most healing. Kreela, she's fine to do all of her moves. and Seer, you don't really need her A2 to weaken, but you can see here I have more than enough damage to take this boss out, but that's because I've worked a lot on this team. You know, I have 3 legendaries, and then I have Vrask and Seer. So like I understand my team is strong, but we're talking about autoing this boss, right? For clan versus clan. That's the main purpose of the video. And the secondary purpose is then to inform you guys who are working on this boss about possible combinations. Now, I will show you the gear for all these champions, but I'm more excited to show you the other possible comps. And there we have 444. Not sure what the difference in time was. Almost a minute longer. Wait, 2 minutes longer than what my lowest time is. So I don't know there. Maybe I changed gear, probably. Whatever the case might be. So I don't think we have enough keys to come back in here. So let's go to another boss stage, and I will show you the team that I originally beat it with. Did not have either of these two on it. I actually, believe it or not, had Growhack in my team, and I had Zargala. Okay. I also tried it with Sandlash Survivor, but her ally protection, if the boss steals that, she will just die, and then it makes it very difficult because to keep her alive. Zargala, also very hard to keep alive because she's an attack-based champion with very low defense, but she, I just built her very defensively with accuracy. Okay. Now, what are some other options here? One of the best new champions for this faction is Old Hermit Jorg. He is really good, guys. He has an A1 that's an HP burn. He has an A2 that's increased attack and a turn meter fill. And his A3 is the revive with Perfect Veil. So if you're struggling with this faction and you have this guy, highly suggest building him. Okay. Why would I use Growhack? I know that you're thinking that right now. And it's this right here. Steals the enemy's turn meter. So once I got him down to that little sliver of health, then what I ended up doing was stealing his turn meter, and I beat him before he reset the cooldowns. That's why my time is so low. I remember now. So, you know, there's a lot of orcs that are good in this faction now. I wanted to try Tuhawk. I don't think there's a good healer, but let's go over to the faction and we'll really break it down for you. Where are we at? On the index for orcs. Okay, so in terms of legendaries, I would say that, okay, nobody's going to have this guy. Wow, he looks weak. Nobody's going to have this guy. This is a Doom Tower champion. His weapons are awesome, though. Nobody's going to have this guy. He's a Doom Tower champion. And then Tila, man, deals a buff, places an HP burn, and a leech. If you have her built for some reason, you could use her. I don't know why you would. King Garog could be your damage dealer. He's not great, but he can do some damage. Nodgar I would avoid completely, and all the other legendaries are great. As I said, I did use Growhack. I didn't use him on a lot of the levels leading up to the last boss, but on the boss level itself, he's actually pretty good. Now, we have a lot more epics that are usable than we previously had, and the main ones are Duck and Jorg, okay? But Tolf is probably going to be good. He just recently came out. He's in this fusion that we're working on right now. A lot of people will have Ultimate Gallic built. But let me tell you, he's very difficult to use, and he is one of the champions I regret building on my account. I built him, then never used him for this faction, and I used other people. Still my favorite, one of my favorite looking champions in the game. I absolutely love Gallic and Ultimate Gallic. I wish that his kit was better. I'm hoping actually that he could get a buff. Okay? But he's very difficult to use because you need that increased attack, right? So I think that Old Hermit Jorg puts the increased attack. So if you could pair the two of them together, that would be great. You can use Shaman if you're desperate. And I mean, depending on the strength of your team, most of these epics can slot in here at level 50, especially if you have Jorg. But if you don't have him, then you probably want to be starring people. I would have loved to beat this with Original Gallic, the starter, because I did have him built. But honestly, when you get to level 21, you really shouldn't be using this caliber of a champion. I'd love to try out Ironclad, but I don't think there's a healer to pair with him. If I'm missing someone, let me know. I've seen people clear this with Veteran, so that's definitely a possibility. And as always, just remember, you want to fill the roles. You want a healer, you want a reviver, you want a decreased defense, you want a crowd control, and you want a damage deal. Those are the 5 things that you want to slot in. So my team was a great example. You know, Warlord is my healer. Instead of having a reviver, I had a second healer, which is Vrask. I had the who did I run for decreased defense? I guess I didn't have anybody for decreased defense in there. I just had more damage dealers. So I had Iron Brago for more defense and damage. And then obviously Seer. I mean, Seer just negates the need for decreased defense on those waves if you have her built well enough. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump over to the builds. I would say some of my builds are endgame, some of them are pretty mediocre. But all 5 of these champions I use on my account still. When I beat this faction, Vrask was level 50 and way less geared than this, guys. Way less geared. Okay. I actually prefer Vrask than Warlord. I think Vrask is much cooler and more interesting, and I wish they had switched the models. Warlord looks like the more generic of the ones, but they're both super cool, and I love both of them. Obviously, it's the same model in case. Okay, so Warlord I use all the time in my arena, so he's super fast, super accurate, and a pile of HP. Kreela I use from time to time in a lot of different places, but I've loved her in a shield set. Even though her HP is not that high, she does not have her proper gear on. You can see here that she does not have anywhere close to 100% crit rate. Does put a crit rate buff on herself, but that does make her difficult to use. I like this build. I think it's very relatable. Other than the crit damage part, maybe. Put crit rate gloves there or HP percent gloves, but she can definitely do some damage for you. Iron Brago, you can see that I use him in Destroy gear against the Scarab boss. That's one of my favorite videos I've ever made on my account, using the Blood Shield accessories. So if you haven't seen that video with my sick quad flat HP roll, proving how good the Blood Shield rings and accessories are against the Scarab, you should definitely check that out. I'll try to remember to link that at the end of the video, but you can easily search it. It's one of the top performing videos on my channel. So this is a pretty endgame build for him because this is the build that we beat level 100 Scarab on the Doom. Seer, also an endgame build. We have her in a Savage set as well as the Immortal set. This is my Doom Tower build for her. I love putting HP on my Seer so she's not targeted while keeping the same crit rate, crit damage. I need to build a little bit more accuracy into her build and get her over 300 so she's reliably stripping buffs from the opponents. But it hasn't been that much of a problem, and I've definitely still beaten all of the hard Doom Towers thus far. And last but not least, we have the Vrask build. I have him in Stalwart because I mainly use him in Faction Wars and against the Eternal Dragon boss. I think he would also be good against the Griffin, so do keep that in mind as well. For the consistent heals, you just turn off his A2 here, which is unimportant. His A2 fills his turn meter and heals your team, so you get to taking more turns. Okay, you can see I also do use him against the Scarab with this terrible attack amulet that is unimportant on him in every way. The only thing that it does is give this blood shield effect. What else do you need to see? Vrask is booked, but I don't think I had him booked whenever I beat the faction. Obviously, Seer's booked. She's so incredible. I did not get around to booking Iron Brago yet. Man, if I had more legendary books, I would definitely do that. Kreela, I did book because I was using her in my clan boss team for a short amount of time. And if you want to use her at all, really, you have to book her so that she hits this ally attack. Otherwise, this skill is awful, and it makes her very bad. Warlord's been booked on my account for a long time, but I landed all the books in the A2 and the A3, and I never went to book the A1. As far as masteries, I have War Master on Vrask because I use him in Doom Tower as well as Arena. I have War Master on Kreela because I use her in Arena, I use her in Doom Tower and Dungeons as well. Same thing with Iron Brago. And am I blocking the War Master this way? There you go. This is why I hate being on the screen because I'm blocking stuff. Yeah, duck down. No, it's not gonna work. Okay, but either way, that's that tier 6 mastery down there. Seer, I've been testing out Flawless Execution, and I think that I like it better now because of the level 25 dungeons. It adds a layer of consistency that I'm interested in keeping on my account, but I did have Helm Smasher on her for the longest time, and actually I had War Master on her as well. So I can't say there's like a bad option there. And then Vrask has War Master, same kind of masteries there, except we have the healing over here for him. What other questions do you have about this faction, about beating this boss? Let me know in the comments below. And if you're liking this series, please consider subscribing to the channel. I know I've had tons of positive feedback about this series, and I really haven't had the views to back that up. So hopefully getting some more subscribers on the channel here will increase the views for this series. But either way, I appreciate your positive feedback in the comments, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Until next time, I'm MtgJedi, and this has been another Faction Wars video. I hope your guys' day is wonderful. We'll catch you guys later.